And I know a lot of people think about that love, and it's like they think it's optional.
Mm.
No, I was again. I know a lot of people like to draw a crowd. Some draw a crowd for the wrong reasons, some draw it for the right reasons.
Mm.
And I was sitting there and I was thinking about how, it has Jesus back in the day traveled. There was no advertisements sent out. You ain't see no bulletin board. Bishop, do that. It's going to be after such and such at this time. Jesus just showed up, and whoever God wanted to get the word, got the word.
That's right.
So a lot of times you sit there, you get the wrong people in now. You start lifting yourself up, and you think you're more than what you should be.
Mm.
Because I think about, ride into a spot and, you D1 and you come in on a donkey. But then me, if I could walk up, if God said to be at this tree and to be the word at this tree, I'm going to go to the word of the tree, and if I got to go in flip-flops. Because whoever needs to get the word is going to get the word at that point. I need to try to make an announcement. Because me, I'm low profile, even though I like to crack jokes because I was leaving. Even like me, I like jokes and I like to smile and laugh. Laughter is joy in my heart. Because it's to me it's like your relaxation, your comfort, and everything. So I like laughter. And like I said, said it the other day. I'll crack a joke and I'll laugh at my own joke. I might be the only one laughing. So I'm going to give me a laugh. I was sitting there and, for Wednesday, God had me up there and, he talked about meditation. And during Wednesday, it really started to come into vision for me. Because I always, and during that word Wednesday, I used my experience as a Marine. And and as I sit there and start thinking about this, and even in the Marines, you go to a Marine, there's three things they always say they live by. And the first thing is God, country, and then Corps. You go to any Marine, they should be able to give you that announcement, or give you those three things. What do you live for? God, country, and Corps. Period. That's what you're supposed to live for. As in, the Marine himself is not someone that should always have something more ahead of them, something they live for. They always got to be willing to put themselves on sacrifice, regardless on what. Even if they, a Marine will, you hear stories about a Marine throwing, or man, I just said this, a Marine, a person throwing themselves on a grenade in order to protect the majority of the brigade or the battalion. So that more can go forward. They have sacrificed themselves in order for the will of the others can go forward and to be done. But saying that, the first lesson I talked about is communication. When, God put these things out, but if you don't understand it, then you got to question, are you His? Because when a parent talks to their kid, the kid understands the parent. And if the parent don't even have to say anything. Yeah, parents sit there and take a look at it, and the kid like, oh, I'm in trouble now. Or they point, and I got to go up here and do this. That's when you got good communication. Now, if you're not someone's child, like my wife told me one time, she's like, I went and asked my mom if I can go to such and such. And she said no. All right. She stopped, went back out, and the girl was like, did you ask her why? I said, no. Are you stupid? But like I said, being a child, but that child out there didn't understand why she didn't ask why, because that's not her parent. And they had that communication set up. So with communication, you got to make sure you belong to one we can communicate with. That's where I talk about, when I talk about as far as the book and the order and all, communication, you got to make sure you're with God and part of God, because if you're not part of God, then you're not going to understand what He communicated to you and hearing the Word. Next thing I want to talk, last one is to talk about meditation. Because now that you're able to communicate with God and hear what He says and what He has for you, then what you get communicated to you, you need to sit there and let that stuff play back and forth and then like a repeating song. And I'll talk about once again the Mighty Marines. You know, I went through boot camp for 3 months. 3 months. Everything was just like repetition. You get up at this time. You get up, you go to the chow hall. You get from the chow hall, you go and you get your, what they call go fasters, your tennis shoes. You go out and you do your exercise, and you do for exercise, you do your drills, and it's just over and over and over again. And it got to the point that you did this every single day that it became like a second habit. You didn't have to think when it was time to react. You just pretty much react because you did repetition. And that's why I sit there and think about, you meditate. So when you sit there and you receive that cutoff, or you receive that cussing or the bird or whatever that doesn't feel good to the soul, then you know how to handle it, and you're not caught off the guard. Because we're in a worship. I mean, we're in a war. Even though some don't deem it that way, we're in a real war. And when you're in a war, you can't sit there and wait till you get attacked to be prepared. You got to prepare before you're attacked. You got to be able to sit there and you got to be trained. You got to be, your mind got to be right. You got to be strong enough to know that, hey, this is what I got to do regardless of what's before me. You got to be physical and strength in order to accomplish the task ahead. And with all of that, it comes with the training and the constant training. You don't get lax with the training, and mentally or physically. Because if you start getting lax with that, then you become weak and not prepared for when the war actually happens. One thing, you don't want to be attacked or deal a battle and then start worrying about, do I have ammunition? What am I planning? Am I fit? Do I have my own people on? No. Because I sit there and think about this thing going over a crane. The crane, they are seem like they are mentally strong as far as attack, but they wasn't prepared for the attack, because once they got attacked, they didn't have the stuff to fight the enemy with. Yes, they was mentally strong, but they wasn't physically, they wasn't prepared. So regardless, you always got to be prepared for this war as we go forward. So like I said, God, country, and court. That's the main thing I always sit there thinking about. God, country, and court. You always got to put others before you. And that's the same thing I see here. You should always put someone before you. Always. And that comes with what I'm going to talk about today. Sit there and have a glass. Like I said, you got a glass, half empty, half full. Depending on your mind thinking, your glass has to determine how you view that glass. Some people say, well, it's half empty because you live in a like in disparity. Some say it's half full because, you feel like you living comfortable. Sometimes where you see that glass can dictate how your mind think and how you view things. Instead of it being just factual, just a half a glass of water, but some people might think different. As y'all know, I'm not a comfortable speaker, but I talk trash all the time, so I'm not a comfortable speaker.
Take your time, we family.
All right, thank you. So, maturity. My kids, when Matthew turned 18, there was a going thing. My kid used to say, he grown. He 18 now, he grown. And I used to sit there and say, is he really grown? Because, you 18, you're of legal age, but are you really grown? And, you sit there and that's, like I said, that's where it comes with maturity when you start looking at things. It's not because of an age, because honestly, 18 might be deemed legal in other countries, which it's not. Some ages are lower, some are higher. And all it is age is your legal rights to make these decisions, because at this age they deem that you should be mature enough to make the right calls and make the decisions in order for you to be held liable for. As I sit there and think about this more and more as far as maturity, maturity is something that isn't easy. Maturity comes with experience. Maturity comes with training. Maturity comes with wisdom. Sometimes the maturity you gain hurts. Sometimes the maturity that you gain doesn't hurt. It all depends on how fast you mature. As we hear as a body, we all come together and we should gain strength from one another. Why we should gain strength from one another? Because we should all be on the same page. We should all be getting the same teaching. So that when one is kind of weak in some areas, the other one should be strong. Because we all have gifts. We all have gifts. Some gifts are different than others. I don't have a gift of singing, but I might have a gift of laughter, or I might have a gift of, give or something like that. Everybody got a gift, and everybody's gift is not the same, but everybody's gift is needed in the body in order for it to go forward. Because, like I said, not everybody's the same. Not everybody wears size 11 shoes or size 9 shoes or whatever. Everybody has different sayings. When I sit there and when I sit back in the chair back there and listen, I can get stuff and I take stuff and I process it. But when it starts, going on, then my mind starts floating out and seeing stuff. Somebody else might sit there and they might not get the first word. You got to keep expounding it over and over and over on it so that they can get it. Because, like I said, we all are different. We all got our spots and we all got different things we have to do. Now, as I look around, I don't think we have anybody in here that does not know the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not kill, the 10 Commandments. But like I said, that's the main thing. Because I started to read it, but I was like, I don't want to sit there and be here longer than what God wanted me to be here. And does anybody not know the 10 Commandments? That's in Exodus 20. Anybody have questions about the 10 Commandments? All right. Well, one thing about the 10 Commandments, and I said, I talk about my beloved core, as I like to say. The 10 Commandments give you the basics. Give you the basics of what you need in order to consider yourself a Marine or consider yourself a Christian. It lays out what thou shalt not do. You got to get that stuff to be the basics. And like I said, the basics is what God wants. Once you get in the core, you go out and you're a basic rifleman. You learn how to swim. You got to be able to swim. You got to be able to shoot, and you got to be able to stand and do it all times. Those are the basics. Every Marine is a basic rifleman. But then you come around, and then you go and you start being. You got what's called the MOS, Military Occupation Specialist. That's what you specialize in. That's different than just the basic, So then they give you all the training. As I sit there and think about that, in that training is outside the 10 Commandments as far as, you being here and being a person of Christ. With the specialists, you start getting more in-depth training so that you can be what is needed. If you go to Matthew chapter 5 and 6, what Paul was talking about, everyone who can turn to it, and so I'm just going to, like I said, we can talk about You can cruise across, however you want to look at it. But in Matthew 5, 6, and 7, like I said, part of the 10 Commandments, don't murder. It's part of the 10 Commandments. No adultery. Don't divorce. Don't break your oath. Then he said, at one point, eye for eye, but then it said turn the other cheek. It's like, love your enemies. Love your enemies in order to show that, because God is love. God is not someone that can, God, love is very important as far as a mature person. Also in that Matthew 5, 6, and 7, talk about don't worry. Don't store up the treasures here on earth. Give to the needy. When you give to the needy, don't give it as a broadcast. Let everybody know that you give. The only thing you do is putting yourself up so you can be praised. If you give it in secret, no one else should know about it except the person giving.
Amen.
A lot of times if you're giving that person, if you just give to that person, that person will be more appreciative because, like I said, nowadays, people start to be, the people sometimes have problems functioning with that because when someone's in need, they don't want to be seen as need because they don't want to be being as weak or they feel like the people are going to look down on them. No Christian should be looked down on. No Christian should be looked differently. No Christian should be separated. Because just like the wild animals, when the Christian gets separated, that's the one that normally gets devoured. We all got our responsibilities. We all got our gifts. We all got what we need to do. Should not judge others. What made you judge when you're not perfect yourself? Your own thoughts and your beliefs might not line up with what's actually going on and what should be. It's only one person. It's only if you're not there to actually see it, and you're not that person, you don't know what that person's thinking. So you don't know how they came to the conclusion. So how are you going to judge that person for the action? That's why God Himself is the judge. Ask and it will be given to you. As once again, all the stuff I'm just mentioning is this basic stuff. This is stuff that God elaborate outside of the 10 Commandments. The world is the Lord and the fullness thereof. Did they leave anything out with that? The world is the Lord's. The world is Lord's. Buildings, cars, medicines, doctors, teachers, everything belongs to God. Technically, everything you got on, everything you own, everything that you make payments on, is God's. When you sit there and you go to a hotel, you have a tendency of relaxing because that's not your responsibility of upkeeping and make sure that everything works. You don't have to worry about trying to get it repaired and all of that. Or you go to a vacation home, you have that tendency of relaxing, knowing that you ain't got to worry about the electric bill being paid. You just pay your bill and you go on. A lot of times we need to get more in line with that when we talk about being mature in Christ. Everything in the world is God and God's in the fullness of. Everything is God's. God controls everything. God's going to make sure the bills get paid. God's going to make sure the roof gets replaced. God's going to make sure the gas gets in the tire. But a lot of times we don't take that to the way it should be. We talk about this gas prices. I pay gas in my truck the other day, costing $94. I mean, when they hit $50, I complain. And God said, "You ain't complaining enough. I'm gonna give you $94." But one thing about it, God gave me an ability to do it. A lot of people might not be putting in a full tank of gas, but you got gas in your car. And when you don't, if you don't have the gas or the ability, God's going to open up a way for you to get what you need. And I know I talked a lot about, my time in Tennessee, because like I said, that was a really, that was something that really marinates in my head on how it was a very hard struggle. And sometimes you don't know what you are capable of doing until you actually experience it. During that time, like I said, things just wasn't going, my income went down on my end. My wife wasn't doing sales on her end. So the stuff that we was accustomed to, we didn't have. So like I said, we lost a lot of income. But needless to say, I still gained weight. My kids, my family had clothes on their body. And it wasn't holy. Even when it got down to the point where it was like, I'm going to put food in the cabinet. God sent someone, 400 or 500 miles to put food in my cabinet. Why is that? Because God owns everything. If you understand that God owns everything and He controls everything, then why are you being upset? If you understand that God controls everything and owns everything, why are you trying to be upset? When you sit there at home, when you was at home with your parents, as long as you was doing right, that was your comfort zone. You know that you know your parents want to make sure you got food. You go in, you relax, you sleep good at night because your parents handle everything. Like I said, when you're coming up, you didn't worry about how I'm going to get food in the cabinet. You didn't worry about how I'm going to get to school. You didn't worry about how I'm going to get clothes on my body. What is different here? If God is really your parent and the person that you look to, why can't you give God more when you know He's in charge of everything than you did your earthly parent? And the reason why you can't is because you lack some maturity. You can't understand this stuff because your maturity is not where it needs to be. Now, it's not to say that it can't get there, but that's why you come to gain strength from one another. Some people are at higher levels, higher knowledge and understanding than others, and that person should be able to pass it on to you if you come to get it. But you can't get it when you're not thinking on it, you ain't meditating on it, and you're not gathering to gain from one another. It's easy to sit home and relax on the couch, take naps, and think about what you got to do at work. But as everyone knows, work in itself is a trial too at times. You get trial when you walk in the door. You get trial when your manager says something slick out their mouth because they have some they deemed authority over you. Are you going to be prepared for that? Are they going to sit there and say that because you're supposed to be a Christian, so then the devil uses them to try to prove that you're wrong? I remember Wednesday night I was sitting there talking about how when I'm at work, somebody come up to me and they said, "Ain't he good? God good." And when they said that, my antenna goes off. Because I don't want to sit there and say, yes, he is, because people around us watching. So if I agree with her or him, and they ain't living nothing for the band camp pork and beans, then they're going to question me too. So when they do, I sit there and I start listening. I try to watch it, and I start listening. And there's very few people that I can honestly say that gives me a little comfort. There's one guy, and he's an older guy. His son works on my division now. And I met this guy in an investigation when they sit there, it's like a trial for people that get in trouble. But this guy, the way he talked, the way my inner being feel comfort with this guy. I never met this guy. I ain't meet him until this day that he's here to facilitate this investigation. But one thing about it, God, your inner being will comfort with like matters. If it's not like, then yeah, chances are you're not going to find it. Being all that, I said, the world belongs to all God. You also have to understand that God controls your family members or your friends, your loved ones. You have a problem with your family members, friends, whatever, you go to them. You be straightforward. You lay out what and try to resolve, try to be the peacekeeper. But if it does not happen that way, at the end of the day, you do everything that God's laid out how you're supposed to do it in the Bible. As a Christian, you get one or more witnesses and you bring them before the body and all. God lays out. When you do all that and it doesn't happen, that's when you got to know that it's not your responsibility to handle. You've done all of that. God said turn loose. God tell you turn loose. Why? Because He's going to deal with it. He don't need you in there. He don't need you helping Him fight. Because God's going to win the fight. God's going to give them what they need to know, what they need to get in order for them to get an opportunity to correct the ways. If it's not, then God's going to deal with them the way He needs to be done. You want everybody up there that is tossed into hell, going to be given the same opportunity as everybody else that doesn't. They ain't going to be able to say they didn't know. But like I said the other day, atheists. I think atheists are probably one of the most knowledgeable people when it comes to the Bible because they want to use all of that to discount what God is about. I talk about, as far as what's in Matthew 5 and 6, don't murder, no adultery, don't break your oaths, love your enemies, don't store up treasure, give to the needy, don't judge others. And all that stuff is added onto the 10 Commandments as well, as far as fine-tuned. I want to go to Ephesians 4. Verses 11 through 6. Michael is sitting there saying, join the Corps, you gotta know the basics. You gotta know how to shoot a rifle. You gotta know how to swim. Teach you how to march. Teach you how to pack your bags. But like I said, in the Marines, they build your confidence. Let you know everything is able to be done. But they're going to let you got to learn how to do it right. Like I was sitting there, and I'm going to say this again because someone wasn't here Wednesday night. When I was in the Corps, they taught me how to run 3 miles in a time limit. They taught me how to swim in order to get out the pool. They taught me how to be able to swim across the pool with boots, a helmet, a replica of a rifle, the weight, backpack, fully loaded, and all that. Got in the pool, walked across with the backpack, rifle, the brain bucket as they call it, and I came down. And they said, all right, you got you on the short end. They said, all right, now swim down to the deep end. So, like I say, you get in, you got your backpack, all this, like, so you got at least about 50 pounds of weight on you. And tell you swim down to the deep end. You swim down to the deep end with all this stuff on you. You get out. It's all right. You got that, so get on the diving board. Not the little one. Get on a high dive. Jump off the high dive into the deep water. with all this weight, backpack, rifle, brain bucket, your boots, your utilities, and then swim from the deep end back to the shallow end, then you're done. Now, to say all of that, what I'm talking about as far as, getting in the basics. You gotta know how to swim. You gotta know how to walk. You gotta know how to train. But also it teaches you that you also gotta know to follow the rules and restrictions. Follow the rules and instructions that's given to you. Now, yes, that backpack was heavy when I got on it, but because they taught me and gave me the rights, told me this is how you pack your bag. This is how you make sure everything in there is waterproof in your bag. So that if you do go over, because like I said, Marines are amphibious assault troops. They come from the Navy get them in the water, they swim up, whatever. So they got to make sure all your stuff is ready for this war or battle or whatever situation comes out. So they pack up everything in your bag is in Ziploc bags. So therefore, when the water again, your backpack becomes a float device. The only thing you got to do now is keep that backpack from pushing your face into the water. So that's the only thing you got to do. But if you didn't listen and follow the instructions and the training, then you wouldn't know that. If you call yourself trying to be slick and cut short corners, chances are either you're gonna come out with your backpack and no life, or you're gonna come out without your backpack and you're gonna lose your life because you ain't got the necessities to fight the war. But it comes with the training. It comes with following the instructions that's put out. It follows what is needed. Ephesians 4, 11 through 16. It says, so Christ himself gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, the teachers, to equip his people for works of service, so that the body of Christ may be built up until we all reach unity in the faith and the knowledge of the Son of God and become mature and attain the whole measures of the fullness of Christ. Then we will no longer be infants, tossed back and forth by waves, blown here and there by every wind of teaching, and by cunning and craftiness of people and the deceitful scheming. Instead, speaking the truth in love, we will grow to become, in every respect, the mature body of Him who is the head, that is Christ. From Him, the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love as each part does its work. Now let's sit down and look at that. Christ equips everyone for service that you are required to do. Christ don't send you a shorthand. He don't send you a backpack that's not properly equipped, or an instruction to properly equip your backpack. He doesn't send you there with not the proper ability to accomplish the service that you have. But the thing is that, one, you got to have communication with God in order to understand what's required of you. Two, when you are given the communication, you got to meditate on it so it becomes second nature. So that when you are attacked with the teachings and the cunningness and the craftiness of people of the world, you don't just sway back and forth. Because if you're weak in mind, then you're not going to be able to handle these strong attacks. And not necessarily saying they are strong attacks, because if you're weak in mind, it might be a weak attack. But we all got to sit there and keep going. We got to keep meditating on the word day in, day out. We got to think about stuff that when you come together, when we come together as a body to gain strength from each other. And I said, like I said, once again, I'm going to revert back to, from time to time, some of the things that I heard doing it, one was if you don't want to be a borrower, stop borrowing. How do you stop being a borrower? Just one, you give. You know, you can't give and receive with your hands closed. You know, you got to give. But knowing if you give out, sacrifice yourself, God will give in. God will take care of you. It might not be when you think it is, but at the end of the day, it will happen. You gotta sit there and know that you're equipped. That if you sit there and live in the way God tells you to live, then your spirit will get comfortable. So when someone threatens you with death, you're not scared of death. Because you know that when death comes, you should know where you're going. Now, if you're scared of death, then you're not comfortable where you're going. Point blank. Now, I don't want to dress it up no other way. But if you're not comfortable where you're going to be when you pass, then you need some fine tuning to get ready. Because eventually we're going to go. So you need to start accepting that and getting yourself ready for that. And when you get yourself ready for that, then you be prepared for it. Be prepared as far as to leave your family. Like me right now, I talk to my kids all the time, and I always tell them, hey, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, I want you to do this. And they're like, why? And I said, because you never know when you're going to be by yourself. I don't want you to be, do it now while your parents here to help. Do it now while your parents can guide you. Because if your parents not here and then you're trying to guide them and you're not prepared, then the person that's going to try to help prepare you might not have your best interest at heart. So I used to take my daughter out, I tell my son out, hey, this is how you change a tire. Put this here. You break the nuts before you check it off the ground because you don't want to put the parking brake on. This is how you check the air. The air should be this where it shows on the tire with some max. You need to get your oil changed. It's like simple things. And even down to most recently, I've been on this position. I know I always crack jokes saying, 18, they're gone. They gone. 20 some odd still here. But it wasn't that I didn't love my kids. The problem is because I love my kids that was pushing them off. I didn't want my kids to be sitting there and not get what they needed. I didn't want my kids to be surprised. I didn't want my kids to be manhandled in this world as it is. Everyone that handles this world knows this world is a beast in itself. Yes. And because I love my kids, I give my kids the most training I could possibly give. Now, I'm not perfect, and some of the teachings I had given them might not resonate or clicked in their heads. And that's when I say what I say, and take my hands off of it. I got my son now. I used to talk to him. I was like, he's like, I'm on me a job, and I'm 6 figures. I don't want nothing less than $75,000. I ain't taking nothing else. And even DJ said the same thing. So I want 100,000. I asked the question. I said, $75,000, $100,000. I said, what does that give you every 2 weeks? What does that bring you home a month? They didn't know. Why? Because they allow social media to teach them. Social media is not going to give them the love that they need.
Absolutely.
Social media is not going to give them the fine tuning and the detail that they need.
That's right.
That's why the love and the family teaches them what they need to know. The other day, because like I said, my son, and I'm saying this because we all one, but God and we love each other. My son, I asked him, he's like, I'm making this, and I'm having a hard time doing it. I said, well, how much do you think you need to do this, and this? And he says, well, I need this amount. Then he goes on and says, when I had the job at such and such, I could have lived off of that. But even though I tried to explain to him why he had the job at such and such, he didn't understand. I tried and I repeated myself over and over and over again. I repeat myself. Even after my daughter now, I asked a question. I said, have I told you this? She said, yeah. Now I said, like when you spend money, I said, value is what one person put on you. It's not what it actually is what you put your value on. If a chair is worth $100,000 to you, then it's valued at $100,000 to you. But if it's worth about $2 to you, regardless of what the stone sticker is, the value is what you put on it. So, once again, I took my hands off, gave it to God. I didn't stop what I was saying. I didn't change my course what I was saying. I just put it out there, took my hands off. I wasn't trying to make the changes. It wasn't my response. It wasn't up to me to make the changes. Because I don't control another human being. I don't know what another human being thinks. Only thing I know is what I think, what I feel, and what I think is right. So I took my hands off it. Now I'm starting to see a total transformation in my son in this short period of time. That put more confidence in me. Like I said, the Marine built confidence in me. When you sit there and you follow the word of what God lays out, and you know you're trying to do everything as God has put before you, and you do what you feel God wants you to do, and when you see the stuff start to turn as God said it is, then that gives you more boldness, more confidence to do God's work. God equip you with everything you need to know. God gives you equipped. If you need to be a singer, He's gonna allow you to sing. If He got to be someone that you need someone that's gonna enlighten and raise up someone, He's gonna give you that ability. If He wants you to give money, He's gonna give you the money. If He wants you to give the time, He's gonna give you the time. Whatever you need, whatever God wants, and for His body to develop and mature as it needs to, He's going to give it. But the thing is that it's nothing new in this book. It's nothing new that we have not experienced. It's nothing new that we have not heard or read in this church alone. Now the question is, are you understanding it? Are you getting communication? Is it meditating in your head? Are you grasping what God is saying in the book and not adding your pieces to it? Because they say it was so easy to allow stuff to influence us. Before cell phones came out, the thing was turn off that one-eyed devil, the TV. You don't think the devil heard that? So what did he do? Give you a cell phone. They said cell phone, you can watch TVs on it, you can get text on it, newspapers, movies, emails, and also you can read your Bible on this phone. So even when you're sitting in here, it's so easy to be reading about it and then something comes across the top. Oh, I wonder what that said. What they say? They may send them the text real quick. You're not meditating on the word that's going forward. You're being distracted. You got to be focused. You got to understand. You got to listen to the communication of before. Should put no God, country, and core. Should put no one before God. Even the Marines know that. God, country, core. You want God, country, and core. Should put nobody before God. Because if you sit there and like I was saying earlier, it tells you not to worry, don't worry, don't worry, all that. Because those are things you gotta live by. You follow God, you feel comfortable in God. If anything happens, if a bully pulls up, you know you got a bigger bully that's going to take them out. It's like a big brother. Right? I'll go get my big brother. You know, bigger brother than God. Don't be worried. If it's your time to pass or be killed or whatever, then understand that it's your time. Understand that it's time for you to go be with God Himself. If you're living right. Now, if you ain't living right, then yeah, you might want to start begging them not to kill you. But don't wait till that gun get up to try to figure it out. Because, you know, that by the time that battle's there, you gotta know for sure. The way you know for sure, you gotta meditate. You gotta check yourself daily. Every hour, every minute. Check yourself. Something goes wrong, you laying in bed, meditating. Meditate on what you did wrong. Meditate on how you're not gonna do it again. Meditate on how you're gonna make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I even had a time when I sit there and one person, you know, how you got those signs on the side of the road, need food. I had one person I didn't get to one time, and it bothered me. And I sit there and think, well, God, why didn't I? Because I was too busy thinking I was being scammed. I think all the guys out there, they just scam me. How would they scam me when I don't own this stuff? How would they scam me the money in my pocket? I'm just holding it because God want me to have something to do for it. But once again, that's my shortcoming. Shortcoming because I'm thinking I own this. I own that truck outside. I own this car. I own this house. I own this money. I own this ability. I own myself. You don't own it. You don't own nothing. And if, like I said, if we get to understand it, then we'll be a lot better and able to do God's work. Because one thing about it, when a Marine get I'm going to say it just like this. When a Marine get brainwashed and think that they can do everything because of the teachings they give them, you can put a small group of Marines on an island and they can probably do more damage than 100,000 that's not properly trained. Because, like I said, it's the teachings, the solid teachings, the repetitions, the thinkings, and all that. I know another thing they said a Marine don't have the authority to die without permission. You know, because like I said, they are brainwashing you. So then when you get shot in the middle of battle, you're not just gonna lay down and say, "Oh, I'm dying." No. If you get brainwashed enough, you want to try to get up, even with them shots, and still fight on until there's absolutely no choice, where you don't think or whatever. But you're constantly meditating, and I see you constantly training, you constantly being taught, constantly marching the way the Marines tell you to march. So once again, when the battle comes, when these trials comes, these craftiness people and all of that comes, you are ready. But like I said, don't wait till they come and then try to get prepared. It's not going to happen. I'm talking about one more thing. I know my wife ain't going to like this. One day, I had to go, we were going to Maryland one night, and I was tired. I was trying to drive. I wanted to drive at night because I like driving at night because there's less traffic, get there quicker, less stops. But for some reason, I was really tired. I think I had to work a shift I wasn't planning on working. And I got in, I tried to get on the road, and I was tired, so I asked her to get, to drive. She was agitated, so she was mad. So I got in the back seat, and I had my brother and his friend riding with us. And I got in the back seat, and then I heard this horn. And I heard her holler. When I opened up my eyes, I seen this bottle go from the driver window back. And then I rose up, looked in the back window, there's a big old semi on my tail. And I was like, what happened? And I got told what happened. But
What bottle come from?
came out of Sean's hand. But like I said, now this was long ago. This wasn't nothing recent. But who knew that truck driver was going to be there? Who knew that test was going to be there? You know, and God forbid that truck driver had a gun and decided shooting up the whole car. But I've been ready to go at that time. Answer, no, I would not have been ready to go. But we got to prepare because you never know when that stuff's going to happen. It's going to be on 95, it can be at your front door, it can be even in your bedroom when that test comes. Or even at the gas station. Like I said, God's going to equip you. When God is going to equip you with everything you need, He's going to equip you with the body you need to gather strength from. He's going to give you the teachings. He provides this book, the Bible. He provides commentators. He give you, everything you need as long as you desire it. God will provide it. In order for you to be ready for the service that He needs you to do. Go to 1 Corinthians 13. Now, I wanted to talk about just 1 Corinthians, and the reason why is because 1 Corinthians 13 is the whole chapter 1. And the reason why, I'm going to tell y'all in just a second. It says, if I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging hammer. Well, I can't say that right. Symbol. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all the mysteries and all the knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoice with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails, but where there is prophecy, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and prophecies in part. But when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. But now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part that I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Now, I wanted to touch on that one because, like I said, as far as maturity, do you think you can have to? Can you think you can pay your tithe and not love? Do you think you can give and not love? Do you think that you can pass the word but then have adultery affairs? Do you think that you can do half this book and be okay? You got to do it all in order to be complete. There's no part that you can exclude out of this Bible. And once again, that comes with maturity. The Bible is the Bible. The Bible's books, it gives you all. It's like a owner manual of how you're supposed to keep your soul right. Even in the owner manual of a car, it has different sections. But the main thing about the owner's manual is talk about the car as a whole. So it touches on every basis. This book touches on every basis on your life, on how you should live as a Christian. It touches on everything that you need to know, need to do, and need to understand. Love. When you got kids, them kids, people do any. I don't know anyone in here that says I ain't get my kids no clothes because I needed to get some clothes first, or my kids are hungry because I wanted to get this big ribeye. Or my kids, because at the end of the day, it's about the love that you have. So with that love, you're going to do everything to make sure they done right. You deal with the people at the job, and the way they talk to you, the stress you get at work, sometimes the high pay, the low pay, all of that to make sure your kids are taken care of. Why? And it's not like the kids sit there and did anything other than your love, your devoted love for this child or children. Your devoted love to make sure they are done right. Your devoted love. Now, can you take that same love and pass it to the person to your right and left? Should you? Yeah. Because that's how you're supposed to know one. How do you know one of ours is about the way you love each other? Do you love the way you need to love? Do you get love and give the time? I used to get off of work at 7 o'clock in the morning and go to a award assembly at 8 o'clock in the morning because I love and wanted to show my kids I was there for them. Are you willing to sit there and do that on a Sunday with a big football game and someone needs a ride to work at a grocery store? Are you willing to do that? All the stuff that God laid out, don't murder, don't adultery, and divorce, and all that. Once again, that's specializing, but it does not leave out other portions like love. 10 Commandments. Then let's talk about what you can and do, what the birds don't worry about. Don't do this, don't do that. All of this stuff is as a whole, and then the road is full of people that think they living right, but still won't think they living right and won't leave little quirks alone and think it's gonna be all right. That's why the road is narrow and few travelers, because they want to be able to exclude and add their own pieces into this book, into this teaching. You got to sit there and live it to the completeness and the fullness thereof. You don't. If you get in the mind frame that you don't own anything, then as far as the material things, you will be able to handle it better. You won't be worrying about if something's going to happen. Because if, God forbid, you get addicted, God wants to make sure you got a roof over your head if you're living right. Or make sure you got a roof. If you sit there and got no food, God will make sure He'll somehow get your food on the table. But you got to understand that none of that stuff belongs to you, so why you worry about and concerned about it? You don't control it. God controls it. Realize what you control, what you don't control. And one thing you do control is your love. Love everyone. Like I said, my daughter, I love her immensely. And it used to be a saying when she was small, I said, "To death do us part." That was my saying all the time, "To death do us part." But I never said, who's death? If I got to take somebody out, and I was like, that's my girl. And even now, so if I got to kill you in order to raise you right, I'm going to do it. But like I said, that was my whole saying, death to a part. And I just never, but like I said, the love. You got to be real to go out for each other. You got to be willing to do something that doesn't feel comfortable to help each other. You got to do what God tells you to do. You got to give money when you don't feel like you feel like you're being shafted. Someone being shafted, the thing is they feel like they got their own selfish ambitions in mind. if you feel like someone's getting over on you, think about it like that. You shouldn't be thinking that someone's gonna get over you. Somebody's gonna get what from you because it doesn't belong to you. I said all the gifts, all this knowledge, all this ability, but the main thing that you must, and I repeat must, have is love. Love comes from maturity. I know they said when you start dating someone, they don't call it love, they call it lusting when you first start dating, because then you got to get to know someone. The thing that got you there was their appearance or something like that, but then you start learning them. Like I said, when I first met my wife, it was about the looks, and I asked her, I said, why a girl like you got somebody? She said, because they sound mean. I should have listened to her. Because she was right. But that came when I learned how to love, because like I said, I didn't get that part while I was just chasing after her. It came when I started realizing who she was. And she even told me one time, that said, "You don't know me." Still don't know her. But like I said, you just, you come with, like I say, come with love. And love is more intimate. Love gives you in depth. But like I said, love, you would know what someone needs and what they don't need. You'll know when someone's down when they're not down. You'll know when someone needs some help. Because you, like I said, become intimate. I walk in the house and I said, my wife and I said, time, because me and her got a chance to really know each other. I can know when she's upset or something bothering her. And I walk up and just give her a hug. And she's like, no. I said, come to Big Daddy. So, like I said, and, give her a hug. But she needed that.
Yes.
And that's where, like I said, when love comes in, you should know. It's like, you walk in here and you see someone not being the same way. What's up? You can walk on and give them a hug. Or saying, hey, brother or sister, how you doing? Is there anything I can help you with? Yeah, I'm here if you need me. Talking. Or just anything. And sometimes if it comes on your heart just to send someone some chocolates or a bouquet of flowers or something, do it. Because some reason God put that in your spirit, and the person that did put in your spirit is in need of that. And that difference can build a confidence for that person. If you're not even talking to them and they get this from someone that you didn't even think, how much confidence would that build for that person? That part of your body, the Christ body, would that build for them? Let them know that God hears my thoughts, hears my needs. But you gotta be open. You gotta listen to. You gotta be in communication with the Father. The Father can tell you what you need to do. We're all here for the body. We are here for the body. We're here for the body. God, country, poor. The way I live. God, country, poor. We're here for the body. We gotta get the body. We gotta make sure the body is ready for battle. For the overall goal. Last thing I'm going to talk about is Hebrews 5:11 and 4. And I think I listen, I try to listen, and I'm a person that always just try to picture everything. And I still say this to it just still marinates. In a relationship, you're going to be one of two things. You're going to be a help or a hindrance. There's no in between. One or the other. Help or a hindrance. Because somehow you're going to help them or you're going to hinder them. You're going to stunt their growth because of the way you live, or you're going to help their growth because of the way you live. And no Christian, truly identified Christian, in my opinion, should be saying, woe is me. That should be the last thing come out of a true Christian. Woe is me. Yes, we have struggles. Yes, you might slip up. But if you do it over and over again about woe is me, why they treat me like this, why I'm going through this, why am I, it's because you are about you. You're not about the Christ that you claim to be following. Back to Hebrews 5:11-4. Just touching on this because, like I said, all this comes with maturity. Like I say, communication, the meditation, the maturity. And pretty much following that line. You got to know how to communicate. Once you learn how to communicate, you got to sit there and process the stuff that you're getting. And you got to learn it the way you should. And then after that, you got to use the stuff that you process to get mature or to better yourself. But for some reason, one of these, the communication and meditation don't go, then maturity starts to lack and your maturity becomes immaturity. This is where I came up and seeing this Hebrews 5:11. We have much to say about this, but it's hard to make it clear to you because you no longer try to understand. In fact, through this time, you ought to be teachers. You need someone to teach you the elementary truth of God's word all over again. You need milk, not solid food. Anyone who lives on milk but still an infant is not acquainted with the teachings about righteousness. But solid food is for the mature. But it's constant use has trained themselves to distinguish good from evil. So, wrap it up to say, look, we come in here Wednesday in, Wednesday out, Sunday in and Sunday out, and Friday nights and Friday nights. Mm-hmm. I mean, you come in and you be with members of the body. When you're not getting together, you should hear the word, read the word, and sometimes, the word is when you read it, sometimes come across on a TV screen or a social thing or just in conversation. God's going to allow you to understand what you need to understand as long as you one of His. You got to be one of His to fully understand what's the intent. You got to fully understand that I don't belong to myself. I belong to God Himself. Everything I own belongs to God. My words should belong to God. My body should belong to God. My money, my health, everything should belong to God. Because if you get a grip and understand that you don't own nothing, it helps you understand a lot more things and be able to do a lot more things when told. Because when you're at work, they tell you to go up there and they say, take all them papers and burn it up. But if it was your paper at home, be like, no, I got to replace that. But because because that paper don't belong to you, okay, I'll do it. Or I throw tears in it because it don't belong to you. You're more likely easy to follow it because you won't feel like you got to replace it. But when you start claiming that ownership, that's when you start having issues. I don't know what else I can say other than, one, make sure you are communicating with God. If you're not communicating with God, then you're not going to understand what He requires of you. And if you're not able to communicate with Him, then you need to learn how to communicate. In other words, fall in line with God has for you. Stuff is not no joke. Everyone in here has been here for years. Time out for the milk. It's kind of like a 5-year-old going to the mama for breastfeeding. It's not right. It's not normal. Once you get the stuff and you're doing right, you need to make sure you understand it. You learn, I don't know if anybody learn foreign language, but when you learn foreign language, you gotta continue to talk foreign language. You gotta continue to read foreign language. If you don't continue to read and write foreign language, you'll forget how to do it. So once you learn how to not be a murderer, you know how to give, and you know how to not be selfish. It doesn't stop when you learn. It continues once you learn. Understand the gifts that God has for you. God's going to give you the gifts that you need to do what you accomplish. If you got the gift to give, and give. If you don't have the gift to give, don't take it that God don't have something for you. He has a different gift that you need to be ready to take up. It's your gift time. It's your gift just to talk, a friendly talk. It's your gift time. There's many gifts out there. And because your gifts don't match up with somebody else's in, don't feel like you don't have one or you don't have a part in this body. Once everybody's on the same accord and everybody's understanding what they're going to do, and that's when God works. That's when the completeness is in. But as long as you got the wisdom and criticisms and the ifs and woe is me and selfishness and all that, then it's still a lot more work to be done. And therefore, if you are one of them people that has the selfishness as well as me and all that, then you are a hindrance. You're not a help to the work that God has. Because not that God's body can move forward. I mean, God's body can move forward regardless, but it won't be able to move at a rate because now you got to slow down to get this, woe is me, I need this, you're a hindrance from the progress. So, at the end of the day, that's all I have to say. Communicate, meditate, get mature. Immaturity is not right, and make sure you love. Thank you for your time.